Hi everybody, I'm Leah.
And I'm Fat John.
We're going to be reviewing season 40 of The Challenge.
Battle of the Air.
So we did watch the introductory episode, which was really nice to kind of like see everybody's background. I think the rivalry that I'm most excited about is the Tori and Amanda one.
Spawn of Satan.
I like Amanda. I'm not gonna lie.
You like her for drama though, like not because she's a decent person, like.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I think it's a lot of different rivalries that a lot of people are interested in seeing. I mean, it seems like with the introductory episode, you can definitely tell the age and the amount of wear and tear on each era by how all of them interact with each other in that first episode.
Absolutely. You can kind of tell that the older ones were like a little bit more reserved and like kind of scoping out like who were, from the more recent seasons. So it's interesting to see like both of those, come together and how they are going to work.
But it's also interesting seeing how everybody else was coming across. I mean, everybody was saying, my team is stacked, this, that, and the third. But I feel like everybody walked in and immediately noticed, like, Era One's team. Everybody noticed.
I mean, I get that. So. But also, like, they are old now. So it's really a toss-up. I mean, I'm not saying that they're, like, not going to be, decent players, but... it's a new day.
I mean, if I'm honest, Mark's the only one that's really old. Mark is decrepit.
CT looking a little...
CT just looking a little hefty. That's all it is. He's looking a little hefty.
But honestly, he surprised me in the last challenge that he won. So, I mean, you just never know.
CT was a little hefty on...
I think it was Secret Agents.
Yeah. CT was looking a little hefty on there, too.
I know. It's just like each season he comes back, I'm like, I don't know. And then he just surprises me.
I'm about to say,
we'll just see.
CT show, man, I'm a little hefty, but I carry my weight well. I mean, that's a sign of a dog. Just saying.
Okay, so now we're just going to take a moment to go over who's in which era, who we're excited for, we're not excited for. So in Era 1, it's seasons 1 through 10. And we have Anissa, Brad, CT, Darrell, Derek, Jody, Katie.
We have Mark, Rachel, and Tina.
Is there anybody that you're more excited for?
I'm interested to see Rachel and Tina compete, actually. Because, I mean, the last time I saw Rachel looked like a dog. The last time I saw her was on the island. And that was the one where, like, they were essentially, like, all the challengers were stranded on an island. This was, like, one of the few seasons where, if anybody remembers, they didn't get the lap of luxury to live in like they normally do. They had to, like, ration off food. They had, like, worse living quarters than what they're normally accustomed to. Like, outside of Battle for a New Champion, this was probably the worst living quarters they've ever had. But I'm really interested to see Rachel because, I mean, she went out on that season. Ended up losing. She ended up losing her key. But I'm also interested in seeing Tina because the last time I saw Tina, I mean, her and Kenny was basically beefing. I mean, she actually is the person that brought Kenny into the house. She's the one who brought Kenny into Fresh Meat. Well, she didn't bring him into Fresh Meat, I guess. He came through Fresh Meat. But she was like his partner on Fresh Meat.
First off, I just want to say how Brad looks like a completely different person. When they showed, like, I didn't know who Brad was, but when they showed the picture of him, I was like, there's no way that's the same person. And John was like, that is the same person. So I just wanted to point out that he looks totally different. Of course, I'm excited for CT because I think I'm curious as to if he's going to be one of those people that surprises me again. Anissa, I mean, I just feel like Anissa's just a staple. Like, even though she's probably, like, not one of the strongest challengers, I mean, I feel like she's kind of like the glue a little bit. And so, like, having, an Era's season and not having her on it, it just wouldn't seem right to me. So I guess I'm excited to see her and, just see a little bit more of her personality. And then Darrell, I'm excited for. I feel like he's, like, definitely a silent killer. So we'll see how he does with this season.
Darrell got to prove some stuff, though. Because Darrell been on here recently and he been getting sent packing. They've been packing them up in a box and shipping them off. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Darrell has to actually prove some stuff. But Darrell has been, like, my favorite challenger personally throughout the years. Just because, I mean, like, back in the day, if Darrell got to a final, he won. Like, it's just set in stone.
I mean, he's already, like, proven himself. So, I mean, he's done the work. He's done what he needed to do. But I am excited to see, like, what he's going to bring to the table for this season. Derek, he seems like very, like, more much more mature.
He is.
So I'm like curious as to how this is going to go and how he's going to like kind of play his alliances, and I'm also curious as to whether or not he's still as strong as he used to be. So those are the ones that like I'm looking forward to the most from this era. All right, so now we're going to go over eras 2, which is seasons 11 through 20. So we have Aviv, Johnny, Brandon, Cara Maria, Derek,
Emily, Kellyanne, Laurel, Nehemiah, and Ryan.
Can I just say, like, I'm really not messing with Laurel's energy. Like, I don't think I watched the challenge when she was on there, but from what I've seen in the introductory episode and the first episode, I'm not really feeling her energy, so I'm not excited for her. I really like Cara Maria, and I'm rooting for her, and I think it's very interesting what Polly said about their dynamic, which we'll go over later.
I haven't seen Brandon in so long, and the two people I'm most excited for on the second era is definitely Brandon and Aviv. Aviv, because the last time we saw Aviv, she won Fresh Meat with Darrell. And they didn't, like, barely win. Like, they just, like, smoked the rest of the competition. This is also the season, infamously, where Wes was forced to carry Casey throughout the entire season. He sent his entire cast home packing. But outside of that, I mean, I'm really interested in seeing Brandon and what he's going to do this season, because the last time we saw Brandon, he was on Cutthroat, I think. And, like, he really just got screwed by Brad and the red team. And they just kept throwing him in because they didn't want to throw each other in. So, I mean, at the same time, they played the game, but at the same time, they definitely screwed Brandon over anyway. No, I'm not going to talk about Johnny. I don't care. And Laurel, she has a mean spirit, but she's a competitor. So I can always, like, it's like I can't get mad at her for being mean, but she also, like, shows up to compete every day. I can't get mad at both.
Oh, well, I guess I can. All right, so next we have the third era, which is seasons 20 through 29. This is my favorite era. So we have Amanda, Avery, Corey, Devin, Jonna,
Leroy, Naya, Tony, Tori, and of course, the late reveal at the end of the episode, you got Jordan.
I'm literally excited for everybody except for Naya. I just cannot with her. And I was telling John while we were watching, it's just like, why did they even let her back on this, like, franchise at all based on what she did to Jordan? But I guess because Jordan
he forgave her, and
then,
I mean, you know,
that's why they're moving forward with it. I don't know, it's just like every time I see her face, I'm just not really feeling it.
I mean, you know, I was going to say people make mistakes. And I mean, people do make mistakes, but I mean...
But there's certain things that, like...
Kind of
I know MTV is, like, very strict on, and so it's just very interesting that they would let her back.
I mean, that's very true. Because, I mean, that's the same reason we're never going to see Camilla ever again. So...
But yeah, I'm excited for Amanda because I like how bitchy she is. I love Corey and Devin. I'm gonna leave it at that.
It's so sad because Devin came in as the type of person you want to root for, and then like he's become like
he's a background character now. He's not really, like, I feel like he had so much potential to become, like, that really, like, important
and dynamic
person. Yeah. And unfortunately, like, I feel like it just, like, kind of peaked and then just went on the downhill, and now he just seems like a background character, a supporting character to Tori.
Crazy that we're even there.
He might surprise us. But from the episode that we saw, it doesn't seem like he will. Anything to add for this one?
I mean, I think it's very clear. Everybody knows who you're looking at in this era. It's clearly Jordan. I mean, like it's like far and above and away. Like, I mean, we love Leroy. Like, you know, we love him and Cam together. Leroy loses every single challenge.
I think he left right. I think the last season that he was on, he left in the perfect way.
Like it perfect.
He came in with, one of his besties.
He finished. He finished with his best friend, and then he ran a final with his wife, mother of his children. Like he came in last. Granted, I think that was just the perfect way to go out.
I think so too, and I feel like for him being back on this season, it's just kind of like kind of like an overstay your welcome type of feeling.
Like he already started off bad. Like
right. So we'll see what happens. All right, and last we have the fourth era, which is from seasons 31 to 39. And we have Horatio, Jenny, Josh, Casey, Kylan.
We have Michelle, Reese, Olivia, Paulie, and Theo. And I mean, I'm going to be straight up. I kind of know Horatio. I don't really know any of the women outside of Michelle. Oh, well, I know Jenny. I mean, Jenny's definitely strong. I mean, puzzles was not her strong suit. And I mean, it seems like a lot of really, really strong macho people come on here, and all of them stink at puzzles. It's actually kind of crazy to see. But, they got some heavy hitters in Paulie, Horatio, Kylan, and Theo. But I'm more so interested to see how Theo competes coming back, because I think Theo is one of those type of people. Like, I compare Theo to Hunter. And I always say that because I feel like Hunter got screwed over in the worst way multiple times. But everybody has to remember, Hunter is a champion. He did win a season. Like, he won. Ashley just took his money and ran away. But
as she should have.
But Hunter, I don't necessarily agree with that either.
We could do a whole video on that.
We'll do a whole video on that later. But the point is, he is a champion. But he, even before that, he got screwed over before because he was just repeatedly thrown into eliminations. And I feel like the same thing happened with Theo on War of the Worlds, because he wasn't a part of Paulie and Carr's alliance. He just kept getting thrown in. And he essentially sent home half of the entire world team. So, I mean, I'm just really interested to see how Theo competes. I think Josh is still going to be labeled as the goof. So,
give me the goof.
Give me the goof.
I get rid of the goof. Give me the goof, and I'll go away.
This will be an interesting team to watch, especially to see them compete against other eras. What do you think about this team?
First of all, I'm just very shocked that Fessy is in here. I wonder what, whose decision that was to not have him on here. As annoying as he is a big part of the last era. So I'm just very shocked that he's not on here. Josh, I know that he's not a strong competitor, but he is literally like a personality hire. I love every scene with Josh because he's just so like happy-go-lucky and like, I don't know. I really like him. Jenny, she has this like air of like arrogance to her for this season. So I'm just very interested, what she's going to do is going to back up that arrogance. I don't know. I'm just not really feeling her vibe. Paulie, not really feeling Paulie. And I think it's because I do like Theo so much. I think a lot of people were like pushing for him to come back. And I follow all of the challenge pages and all of the comments. They're always like, bring Theo back. So it's nice that he's actually, back, and I'm curious to see how he's going to do. Casey. Anyway, but everybody else, everybody else on here, I'm not really too familiar with because they're seasons that, we didn't watch, but I'm curious to see how they're going to do.
So this season, the prize money is $1 million. We don't know yet whether or not it's going to be an individual prize pot or if it's going to be a team prize pot. And I think TJ as well as the producers have done a great job of hiding that from us as the people actually watching the show, as well as the people that are competing, because it goes to show that none of them know how everything is going to play out. So now, of course, that's going to affect how you play the game going forward.
I really think that's great, because if they know if it's going to be individual or a team, they're going to completely change the way in which they play the game. And you can see that some people are starting to try to rebuild their relationships. Some people are like, I don't know if it's worth it or not, just because they don't know exactly like what type of prize it's going to be. So I'm in support of it.
Now, the first challenge, we jump off, of course, as soon as they get out of the container. We come up to the first challenge. Now, before the first challenge, TJ drops a bombshell, a huge bombshell on everybody. You got 10 people to each team. TJ announces the field at least half of them will be going into elimination. At least half. So the last place people in each era during this challenge, they are immediately going in. And then the winners of each era, one male and one female, they will then decide another person from their era, one male and one female, to go into the elimination against them. So we're about to see a really, really large cut from the field. You're about to see 8 people go home. So now, the first challenge, it's become so much more of a big deal than some of your typical first challenges. They're told that they have to put together a puzzle resembling the number 40. They're then supposed to paddle out into the water, and there's 100 buoys out in the water. They have to paddle to enough buoys to grab, 5 sticks? 10 sticks with their era's color on it. And then they have to paddle back to shore. And then they have to insert all 10 light up glow sticks, resemble the number 40. And out of that, we talked about it during the episode. You thought the challenge was kind of boring.
I thought it was very boring. It was very lackluster. And I understand, them doing it at night because of the lights, but I feel like that kind of added to the whole, boring feeling. The funniest parts for me included Leroy and how they lost him for a moment. And I guess he was just, going in circles and, he fell out of it. It was just a lot going on. And we all know that Leroy is not good in the water. So that part was just hilarious to me. And then who built the 40 and they were like, check, and TJ was like, no.
Tony. God
damn
it.
That was hilarious.
And he kept doing it. And I'm just.
He's like, check. You serious? Yes,
check.
this
Wrong.
is not correct.
And I don't know if he changed it every single time. But
it was like he was check.
To me, the craziest part was Katie literally went into the water and then basically came right back out. She was in the water for maybe a grand total of 2 minutes. So the losers of this challenge, they immediately go into elimination. There's no way to get out of it. You're going in. As CT so famously said one time, you're a meatball, you might be going home.
You're a meatball, you're going home anyway.
Okay. Losers from Era 1 was Mark and Katie. Era 2, you have Ryan and Kellyanne. Losers for Era 3, you have Leroy.
Shocker.
And Naya. Then we have the losers from Era 4, you have Nerese and Theo. Theo being a shocker here. I'm not going to lie. Looking at this especially looking at the Era 4, I did not have Theo finishing last. But
get yourself together.
We'll go on to the good news. We have the winners from the first challenge. So Era 1, you could probably guess who would win. Or maybe not. But it was definitely CT. CT was the one who won. He cleared, of course, everybody, in his era anyway. And then the winner for the women, coming back, the powerhouse, Rachel. Then we go on to Era 2, Laurel and Johnny Bananas. Now, I do want to point this out. Laurel actually beat everyone. She cleared the entire field. And who came in second was Cara Maria. She also cleared the rest of the field. So, if this was just an individual challenge and it was the first 8 people to finish, Cara Maria would have also been safe. She was literally second total to finish. But of course, Johnny Bananas was also the other winner for Era 2. Era 3, we have Corey and Tori. No, that was not done on purpose to be funny or because their names rhyme. It was literally Tori and Corey that finished first in their era. And then for Era 4, we have Horacio. I may have mispronounced his name. I'm sorry if you see this. It's not on purpose. But Horacio and Michelle both finished first for Era 4. So is there anybody that kind of surprised you?
Yeah, I feel like I'm not shocked by anybody who won. I'm just more so shocked by who lost. I'm very shocked by Theo. I think Theo's probably the most disappointing one out of all of these. But CT winning, Laurel, Michelle, Corey, Tori, all of those are people that I'm not shocked about.
I'm kind of shocked that Corey beat out Jordan. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just shocked.
I think Corey's hungry. I think he's gonna show us his best this season.
He's been hungry for, 8 seasons now?
Yeah, and sometimes it's not your time, but this might be Corey's time.
I think the hunger is a little overrated. But,
yeah. Okay.
So going in from there, after the challenge, we find out that, they're going to have everybody's going to have the opportunity to go to, it's kind of like a sit-down table to discuss who's going to go in from each era. And of course, you start to see, some friendships that are tested, some rivalries that are, of course, reignited. Of course, you have an Era 1. And it was just crazy to me. Era 1 was the quickest out of everybody, it seemed like. It seemed like Era 1, the guys got it done immediately, and you saw in the episode a little bit where it was obvious Darrell's probably going to have to go in against Mark. They were doing it off of, being fair, the fair system. Mark came in last, Darrell came in fourth. So just to be fair, we're going to go ahead and send in Darrell. But Derek stepped up. And I mean, who knows what Darrell has done for Derek, even outside of the challenge, but he said, he's always had my back. He's done so much more for me, or so much for me that, people don't even know about. So, I mean, I can respect Derek for taking that hit for him.
Mm-hmm.
As you saw what Darrell said, though, I wouldn't have done that. So, and then for the women, I mean, I feel like that's going to be the more difficult part because, Anissa finished fourth. So technically, I mean, if you want to be fair, it should be Anissa versus Katie. But Anissa feels like Rachel should be protecting her.
Anissa just doesn't want to go into another elimination. But also, she's going to continue to perform to the lowest of her ability. I'm actually shocked that she didn't come in last. And I understand that she's already been in so many eliminations, but that's because she continuously comes in last. That's what happens. So I think it was just fair for her to, go in. Of course, we're not going to, know until the next episode exactly what happens, but I feel like her kind of arguing her side and really using the alliance angle is just.
Well, not even the alliance, but the friendship angle. We used to date, we're friends. You shouldn't be throwing me in. I mean, I get that is how the game is played, but it's still.
Girl, you stunk it up. You need to get into that elimination.
Yeah, I agree. So. Then we go from there to, of course, Era 2. I mean, you have Laurel and Johnny. Of course it's going to be fireworks. Of course there's going to be arguments. And I mean, I think Paulie brought up a great point in the introductory episode even. Cara needs to understand, her and Laura are not going to be friends, okay?
But I think she did understand that based on her her speech, and I was actually really impressed by it because it seems like after all of the years that she's been on the challenge, she's definitely matured, and she was able to kind of get her point across in a clear way, and not cry or get emotional or anything. And I think she did say I know we're not in the best of terms right now, and I think her argument and what she was saying made sense, and I think that's why they kind of Johnny and Laurel took a step back after she was speaking. I think either way, though, Laurel just doesn't like Cara, so she's going to push to send her in regardless, and no matter what Cara says. But I really did like how she formulated her thoughts and got that out.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think she formulated her thoughts well, but I don't think she really, understood exactly what... I don't know if she's really where Paulie thinks she probably should be. Because I think Paulie's saying, look, y'all not going to be friends. You don't even need to try to be friendly with her no more, all right? Just know when y'all see each other, it's smoke. So if she wins and you don't have safety, you're probably going in. You need to treat it the same way. You need to look at her and be like, look, if you don't win and I win and you're not safe, you going in. You need to start treating her with the same type of energy she's meeting you with.
That's another reason.
I mean, she just thinks Cara is annoying. And I mean, that's what everybody thinks, but Cara does have a habit of following Laurel around in all of these seasons they've been on together. They came in together on Fresh Meat too. So, I mean, my assumption would be that Cara's probably going in. As far as the guys, who really knows? I couldn't tell you who's going to go in.
Leroy wasn't really saying much.
I mean, ain't nothing really he can say.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of just waiting. All right, whoever you pick, let's just get into the elimination, and
There's not really too much he can say. I mean, I'm pretty sure Corey probably wants to throw Tony in. He wants to throw Tony in. He does not like Tony. Him and Tony are not friends, right? He's not going to throw in Devin because he's just not going to throw in Devin. Like him and, if Corey decides, like this is probably going to be an individual challenge to win, if that's the case, yeah, you throw in Jordan. Go ahead. Don't be scared. Go ahead and make that move now. Because he's going against Leroy, if it's something strength related, Leroy might be able to beat him. And you can get rid of Jordan right now, early in the game. But if it's something where you want to have a strong team, you have to keep Jordan. He's good at everything. He is. And so I think the more interesting part is just going to be how Corey decides to play this vote. I mean, if it's Tori, I'm throwing in Amanda. Like, I'm not even, thinking twice about it. Like, the discussion they were having at the table and all that wouldn't even faze me. Like, I'd be like, look, you're going in. You're a meatball, you're going in. That's it.
You're a meatball, you're going home anyway.
Like, Corey, I don't care that y'all are friends. She's going in.
I think this one is just a toss-up. And honestly, as a viewer, I don't care who goes in for this one. Because,
I do.
Because honestly, it seems like Leroy doesn't care.
I care who goes in. I want Amanda in.
Because you don't like her.
Correct. I want Amanda in, and I want it to be something physical. I think Nia would have the advantage.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. And for the fourth one, the fourth era's debate, that was the one that actually got my attention because of Theo versus Polly. It was very interesting how Theo ended up calling out Polly for how weak he was, and I think didn't Polly throw Theo into a bunch of eliminations, so he called him out on that, and obviously Theo had a lot of smoke for him, but then as soon as Polly called Theo out for allegedly throwing a challenge, you kind of saw Theo kind of go back a little bit and that intensity died down. I think Theo definitely knew about it. I don't think he was involved in the situation, but based on his reaction to it, you can kind of tell it was something going on there. So based on their back and forth, I mean, it would be really good TV if they sent Polly in to go against Theo. I think that's something that a lot of people would be looking forward to. So, and it seemed like everybody else who was at the table was just kind of letting them both dig the holes for themselves, and they're probably hoping for the same thing.
I mean, if you're smart, Horacio, if you're smart, you're going to throw in the goof.
I get rid of the goof. Give me the goof, and I'll go away.
Okay? There's no which way about, Josh staying here. If it's an individual thing, whatever, Josh, you were a wild card anyway. I don't really care. Have a blessed one, Thanks for coming on vacation with us, but, have a safe plane ride home. But, if it's a team thing, then Josh may be the weakest guy on the team at this point. So either way, I mean, Josh should be going in my opinion. Now, when it comes to the women's side, this is where things also continue. I mean, Era 4 seemed like they was just spicy.
Yeah,
That's really what it seemed like. They seemed like they was real spicy out there. Because Era 4, you had Olivia going into Reese, and Reese is under the impression from Horacio that, hey, baby, we're going to give you whatever you want, baby. Whoever you want right here, we're going to give you. If you want Jenny, we're going to give you Jenny. If you want Olivia, we're going to give you Olivia.
Horacio didn't realize that it ain't going to work out that way.
It's a two-person thing. Michelle over there I didn't say that. I don't know where you got that impression from. Olivia is my number one. I ain't sending her in. And so now, you have this big battle and this big beef, obviously, at that table. I mean, Era 4, if this is a team event, you have to compete as a team, Era 4 might be cooked already. Because everybody beefing with everybody already anyway. So they might be cooked. So, I mean, the next episode will obviously be really, really interesting. The next episode will be when we get all of the eliminations. And, we find out who's going in. We find out the decisions.
I'm kind of upset about that, though. I wish we at least got to see one elimination. Usually I feel like they show us at least one, and we don't know, the winner of it. But it would have been nice to, see the challenge and have something to look forward to for the next episode. But yeah, I guess we are going to get into, hopefully we get through all of the eliminations next episode, because I know sometimes they like to draw things out.
I mean, they super wild for doing that, though. Like, for having that long challenge and then giving us the some of the deliberation, not even the entire deliberation, but just some of it. And then just cutting the episode.
Right, because next episode they're going to take probably 10, 15 minutes just showing them getting ready for the name challenge. And then we're going to have every single team go through, and I'm just hoping that we get through it so that the episode after that we can get into the next actual, like,
challenge and
eras challenge.
Right.
If you could rate this episode between a 1 to 10, what would you rate it?
I'm giving it a 6. I didn't care for the challenge like that. I'm not necessarily doubting the difficulty of the challenge because you're doing the puzzle at night, so I'm sure it probably was a lot more difficult than they made it look. And then you're also paddling out to buoys in the middle of the night as well. So I know, I'm not saying the challenge itself wasn't difficult, but it just wasn't very entertaining to watch.
I definitely agree. The best part of the episode was Era 4's deliberation.
Yeah, like
that was the most interesting part of it. And then, of course, the funniest part was Leroy getting lost in the water.
God damn it, Leroy.
So yeah, I think I would agree. I would rate it a 5 or 6. Especially, and it's definitely lower for me because it's the season premiere. Season premiere is supposed to really like draw you in, and I felt like it wasn't entertaining enough for it to be that way.
Right.
I do think that it was nice that they had the introductory episode just in case you kind of needed like a refresher on all of the people. But just kind of like opening up this episode and going straight from the storage bin to the challenge, and then the boring challenge, in my opinion, and then the deliberation. I feel like it just kind of had me longing for a little bit more. And I'm hoping that we kind of get back to where there was a little bit more personality, a little bit more of the relationships within each other. Like, I think on the introductory episode, we kind of saw like Theo and Olivia kind of having a little banter, which was nice to see. I like a little balance between the two. So, hopefully we get a little bit of that. But, yeah.
Excited for season 4.
Definitely.
If it's a team thing, who do you think is going to win?
I got it on Era 3. Because it seems like people, they may not like necessarily like each other or have friendships, but it seems like they have some sort of respect for each other. And I think that's definitely going to, help within any team challenge, because you're going to be more willing to listen to each other, more willing to like lean on each other for support. If it is individual, it could be Era 1, because you can never count out CT or Darrell. And then, but it could be somebody from Era 4. I don't know. I feel like if it's individual, it's really a toss-up. But I would say if I could guess, it would either be from 1 or 4.
Man, if it's a team thing, I think Era 1's going to take it. I'm going with the old dogs. I think the old dogs going to run through. Granted, I do think it's going to be a lot of Chiefs and not as many Indians. So it might be a little difficult. They're not going to be
willing to work together, I don't think.
I think they'll be willing to work together, but I think it's going to be too many, like I said, too many Chiefs. There's going to be too many people saying, "No, we should do this. No, we should do this. No, we should do this. No, we should do this."
So how are they going to be working together if there's too many Chiefs?
I think it's just going to be difficult for them to work together. But I think they're going to actually find a good happy median. It might just take a challenge or two, but I think they're going to find a happy median. But it always comes down to how the eliminations are going to work after this initial one. If it works this same way, like, hey, at the end of each challenge, you have to vote somebody else in from your era, then that's different. Like, we'll see how the eliminations work after that. But if it's a team event, I think Era 1 is going to end up taking it home. But if it's an individual thing, I mean, the front runners have obviously got to be, like, for the men's side, if it's, like, separated between men and women, I think the front runners have to be, for the men's side, CT, Jordan, and I would want to say Theo, but the way he performed in this first challenge makes it difficult to actually hitch your wagon to him. Now, if it's women, I mean, and I'm going to be honest with you, the women on this season are stacked. Like, this is probably one of the most stacked seasons for women that I've seen in a little while. Like, you have Laurel, you have Jody, you have Cara Maria, you have Emily, like, you have Casey. I mean, she's boring, sure, but Casey is still a competitor. You got Tori, like, you have Aviv. Tina, Rachel. Like this season is stacked. So if it's separated between men and women, it's going to be a dogfight for the women, like truly and honestly. And I wouldn't be able to hitch my wagon to anybody. If I had to hitch my wagon to somebody, it would be Rachel. If I had to.
I guess we'll see what happens, and we will be back next week to review episode 2. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.